Hi guys, this is Taylor. So, story time. So this happened, I guess it was a few weeks ago now. It was the middle of the night, I was drifting off to sleep. I heard this crack and I opened my eyes just in time to see the bookcase that was just to my right here just absolutely disintegrate. One of the lower shelves cracked under the weight of some of my heavier books, and this kind of destabilized the whole thing and it just collapsed sideways against the door of my bedroom. This essentially trapped me in my bedroom for a while. My mom woke up and she was yelling on the other side of the door trying to help me, but the whole weight of the bookcase was against the door, so she couldn't get in to help me. So basically I had to take all of the remaining books off of the shelf and put them aside and move the carcass of the bookshelf out of the way. Everything turned out fine, no one was hurt, but I figured that this might be a timely opportunity to do a book unhaul. The books that I pulled are about half unread TBR books and half books that I have read. I'm going to start with the TBR books because obviously I'll have a little less to say about them. The first book to be donated is Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys. This is kind of classic YA that I have owned for I don't know how long. I was initially interested in this book because it is set in Lithuania in World War II and I have some Lithuanian heritage, but I've come to realize that I really just don't get on with wartime settings, and I know that this is probably so much more than a war novel, but at this point, given the state of my book collection, I can really only keep books that I can realistically see myself reading relatively soon. So next I have Hairstyles of the Damned by Jo Menno. This is another book that I've owned for multiple years. This is also YA about coming of age and developing your identity and discovering yourself and all that good stuff. A great description, I know. But the thing about this one is that I once heard someone describing parts of this novel as surprisingly disturbing. And while I think I can stomach a lot of different things, that's just a description that has stuck with me, and I guess it has ended up kind of deterring me. Next up I have two from Bill Bryson. I have The Life and Times of the Thunderbolt Kid, this is his memoir, and The Lost Continent Travels in Small Town America. Despite having never read Bill Bryson, I have this thing where every time I see his work in a used bookstore, I'm just compelled to buy it, which is really not a good idea because I don't know if I'm going to like his writing style. I am keeping A Walk in the Woods and A Short History of Nearly Everything, so I do have plans to dip my toe in and find out if I actually like him as an author. Then I have Ella Enchanted. This is a classic children's book at this point, and I know for a fact that I accidentally stole this from my 6th grade classroom. There was actually a point that I had 3 copies of this book accidentally stolen in one way or another, all from the same classroom, and I think one by one I just snuck them back into school, but I guess I forgot about one of them. And for this one, it's just not something that I see myself really thirsting to read and or really enjoying, so hopefully someone somewhere will get the chance to now. Next I have Mark Maron's memoir, Attempting Normal. I have really kind of struck out with comedian memoirs as a genre, and again, it's just not something that I really see myself picking up in the near future. Then I have The History of Love by Nicole Krauss. This one is just going to be a victim of me not knowing anything about it, and also me not knowing anyone who really raved about this or recommends it particularly highly. Next is Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress, and if this is the type of novel that I'm thinking it is, this is just kind of off-brand for me anyway. I think this is kind of a quaint, small, charming novel, and I'm not really here for that type of thing. I want to be emotionally devastated. Then I have The Everything Store, Jeff Bezos and the Age of Amazon by Brad Stone. This was a pretty popular piece of nonfiction a couple years ago, and despite its popularity, I just don't think it's the type of nonfiction that really draws me in personally, just based on kind of the pages that I've scanned. And if I was going to read about Amazon, I would probably want something that focuses in on the ethicality of the company, and considering that this was published in 2013, I don't think that it would really have the most up-to-date information on that aspect of the company. Then, lastly, for my TBR books, I have all of my advanced reader copies, which I never read, which I feel awful about. I have Born for This by Chris Guillebeau, and this was a Goodreads giveaway, and I swear to God, I did not enter to win this, because this is like nonfiction about starting your own business and being your own boss, which is not something that I'm even remotely interested in. I don't really know how I got this. Then I have Treading on Thin Air, Atmospheric Physics, Forensic Meteorology, and Climate Change, How the Weather Shapes Our Everyday Lives by Elizabeth Austin, PhD. I attempted to read this for the better part of 2 years, and it could really just use an extra round of editing. The topics that it attempted to discuss were all disjointed, and there were these tangents that just go on, seemingly about nothing that's really relevant. I really feel like I gave this a good go, but after several years, I just think it's not gonna happen. And finally, from my TBR, I am eliminating The Country of Ice Cream Star by Sandra Newman. This makes me really sad because, again, this is a book that I've been trying to read for years, and it's one of the books that I told myself I was going to read by the end of this year. I'll talk more about DNFing this in my April wrap-up, but I just feel like we were not really meant to be, and I think I can accept that now. So for the books that I have read, the first one to go is going to be my old Henry David Thoreau bind-up, and this also makes me sad because this is where I first read Walden, but now I do own a lot of his works separately, so it doesn't really make sense to keep the bind-up as well. Kind of directly related to that, I guess, is The Gospel According to Larry by Janet Toshtian. We read this in high school, and it's about a kid who is assigned to read Walden in high school. He gets super into transcendentalism, and then he kind of starts like a lifestyle minimalist blog, but then he has to like go into hiding, and I don't really remember why. My point here is that I can't really see myself rereading this. I am also getting rid of the entire Uglies series by Scott Westerfeld. I completed the trilogy last year, about a decade after I should have, and it was kind of awful, but this was a pretty popular series back in the day, so hopefully someone somewhere will enjoy them properly. Another series that I'm purging is the Gilda Joyce Psychic Investigator series. This is actually a really fun, like, middle grade mystery series that I super enjoyed when I was younger. Great main character, great writing, but just not something that I see myself rereading or continuing on with. I'm also getting rid of 2 poetry collections for more or less the same reason. I have A Kind of Yellow by Patricia Lee Lewis, and Every Time a Knot is Undone, A God is Released by Barbara Chase Verbode. I do absolutely love the title of this though. I can just be kind of picky with poetry, and neither of these authors' styles really vibed with me per se. Next I have a short story collection. This is Viral by Emily Mitchell. I distinctly remember being grabbed by the very first story in this collection, kind of a sci-fi dystopian type of thing, and then the rest of these stories were absolutely nothing like that, and were also kind of like objectively bad. It was a very weird reading experience, and I don't recommend it. I also have An Object of Beauty by Steve Martin, another novel that I just don't recommend. Very excited for this because the premise is of a young woman navigating the fine arts scene in New York, but it turned out to somehow have both no plot and no character development, which is a real shame because A, the premise is interesting, and B, it's like physically such a beautiful book. It has these full color photos of all the art pieces mentioned, but alas. And last but not least, I have The Carnival at Bray by Jessie Ann Foley. This is a YA coming of age novel about an American girl attending school in Ireland, and the thing about this one is that I read it really not too long ago, and I can't remember a single detail besides American girl going to school in Ireland. So I am taking that as a sign. So that was everything. I sincerely hope that no one takes offense to any part of this. These are all being donated to hopefully loving homes. But I will have probably a few more days with these books, so let me know if you think that anything I pulled deserves a second chance, deserves to stay, and whether or not I've made a grave mistake. And of course, I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!